You've worked hard for the case, saved diligently, and now you're ready to enjoy your retirement in Spain. But before you sign that property contract, you need to hear this. The financial reality of owning Spanish property is nothing like what the glossy real estate brochures suggest. And it might get much worse. The Spanish government is considering a 100% tax increase for non-EU residents. Today I'm going to show you the exact numbers that the real estate agents don't want you to see. The hidden costs that are causing many expats to go broke in Spain. I also share the most ignored risk of all, the Okupas, and how 16,400 properties in Spain were illegally occupied by them, a 7.4% increase year by year. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why property in Spain is a financial minefield for foreigners, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself if you are thinking about making the move. If you want to safeguard your retirement savings while still enjoying the Spanish lifestyle, the next 15 minutes could be the most important financial information you ever hear. This could save you from making a six-figure mistake. We start with the hidden tax burden that's bankrupting foreign property owners. What if I told you that a 200,000 euro home in Spain actually costs about 230,000 euro from day one? And that's just the start of your money troubles. When you're browsing those lovely Spanish properties online, the price tags look tempting. A sunny villa with a swimming pool for less than 190,000 euros seems like a bargain compared to real estate prices in the US or the UK. But here's what those shiny websites don't tell you. The actual cost hits you long before you get the keys. Most foreign buyers focus solely on the listing price, completely missing the substantial upfront costs that await them. These aren't smaller fees either. We are talking about potentially adding 15% to your purchase price immediately. And the worst part? Real estate agents rarely give you the full picture until you're emotionally invested in a property. Let's break down what actually happens when you buy that 200,000 euro dream home. For new builds, you are immediately hit with a 10% value-added tax. That's an extra 20,000 euro before you even step through the door. Buying a resale property, don't celebrate too much either. You face the Impuesto sobre Transmisiones Patrimoniales, or transfer tax, from 6 to 10% depending on the region. But wait, there is more. The legal paperwork in Spain is extensive and expensive. Notary fees and property registry costs typically add another 1 to 2.5% of the purchase price. Then there are legal fees for your solicitor, quite essential when navigating Spanish property law, adding another 1 to 2%. When you add it all up, a 200,000 euro property suddenly requires nearly 30,000 euro in additional upfront costs. That money appears before you've bought a single piece of furniture or planted one flower in your new garden. Even after you've recovered from the initial sticker shock, the annual costs start rolling in. The Impuesto sobre Bienes Inmuebles, Spain's version of property tax, ranges from 0.4% to 1.1% of the cadastral value. For a property with a cadastral value of 150,000 euros, you are looking at around 1,050 euros per year at a 0.7% rate. And unfortunately, this tax tends to increase with the price of the property, slowly eating away at your retirement budget. Here is where it gets particularly painful for non-residents. Spain has a special tax just for you, the non-resident income tax, ERNR. Most buyers never hear about this until it's too late. Even if you don't rent your property out, you still pay this tax on imputed income. Essentially, Spain taxes you on income you could have earned but didn't. Let me show you how this works. For a property with a 150,000 euro cadastral value, the imputed income at 1.1% is 1,650 euros. The government assumes you earn that every month, even if you have no tenant or never rented the house. This gets taxed at 19% for EU residents, coming to 313.5 annually. Non-EU residents pay even more at 24%, or 396 euros per year. Remember, this is a tax on money you never actually earned. Compare these costs to other popular retirement destinations like southern Italy, where no habitual residents enjoy significant tax benefits, or Greece, which offers much lower income tax for some expats. Spain's complete tax structure makes it significantly more expensive than many alternatives, and just when you think you've accounted for everything, there are still community fees to consider. If your property is in a condominium, as many foreign-owned properties are, you pay hundreds or even thousands annually for maintenance of shared areas like pools and gardens. Non-resident buyers face even higher hurdles with financing. Banks often require much larger down payments, sometimes 40% compared to 20% for residents. You also likely face less favorable mortgage terms with higher interest rates, further straining your finances. The cumulative effect is substantial. For that €200,000 property, you are not just paying €230,000 upfront. You are committing to at least €3,000 to €5,000 in annual additional costs. Over a 10-year period, your bargain Spanish property will cost you an additional €30,000 to €50,000 beyond the purchase price. If all that does not sound terrifying enough, it might get much worse very soon. But before, I have some good news. Your roadmap to stress-free international living is here. My Expat Wealth and Lifestyle Compass, valued at $180, is your free for a limited time. Receive our 74-page analysis of affordable cities in Spain, Italy, and France, our guide for zero-income tax countries that easily can save you annually up to $15,600, and the checklist that prevents costly mistakes. Don't let your chances go away. Scan this QR code now and join us for free. The government's plan to tax foreign owners out of Spain. While those annual expenses might soon become the least of your worries, Spain has just declared a housing emergency that puts foreign property owners directly in the crosshairs. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez isn't mincing words about who he thinks is responsible for Spain's housing crisis. And if you are a non-EU citizen looking to buy property, you are at the top of his list. And here is a small digression and personal opinion. For me, this entire habit that some politicians have of blaming increasing housing prices on foreigners is completely nonsense. Housing prices, or any price, increases because either the value of money decreases when government prints more money or when offer is constrained. Maybe too many regulations not allowing more houses to be built. But of course, it's always easier to blame John and Mary who bought an apartment to retire in Malaga and give generous tips to the local waiter. Politicians love pinning high prices on foreigners. It's easier than admitting that to win elections, they printed money like people throwing tomatoes in Buñol. If you disagree with me, tell me why in the comment section. I'm very open to read your opinion. Now back to the subject. The government's proposed solution is unprecedented and potentially devastating for foreign buyers. A 100% increase of existing property taxes for non-resident, non-EU foreigners. In fact, it was not clear whether Pedro Sánchez wants to double the existing tax on foreigners, a 100% increase, or impose a 100% tax rate, effectively confiscation. I will give him the benefit of doubt here and work with the more reasonable alternative. That means British retirees, Americans, and anyone else from outside the European Union who spends less than 183 days per year in Spain could face taxes double from their current rates when purchasing a home. The specifics are still being worked out after careful study, according to government officials, but the intention is crystal clear. Spain wants to limit property purchase by foreigners, and they are willing to implement extreme measures to do it. They are following similar policies already in place in Denmark and Canada, signaling a broader international trend against foreign property ownership. Several potential British purchases are already reconsidering their plans. One house hunter near Alicante told reporters they are now looking at Cyprus instead. Another potential buyer from London was even more direct. Open quote, "I wouldn't touch Spain now. Who's to say they won't introduce a retrospective tax or other taxes on existing owners?" End quote. This tax doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a broader set of measures targeting foreign ownership across Spain. Several regions are considering their own restrictions, and the national government is exploring additional taxes on vacant properties and stricter regulations on short-term rentals. Even if the 100% property tax increase is modified before implementation, the direction is clear. Spain is systematically making foreign property ownership more expensive and complicated. The government justifies these measures by claiming foreign investors drive up property prices beyond what locals can afford. However, experts like Antonio de la Fuente, a director at Colliers International, questions this approach. He believes the core issue is a lack of housing supply and the increasing international migration from smaller cities to bigger cities like Madrid, Valencia, and Malaga. For existing foreign property owners, these developments create an uncertain future. In countries that have implemented similar policies, pre-tax property owners often face declining values and increasing hostility from both government authorities and locals. Even if you somehow avoid the proposed 100% tax increase, you still face the threat of a new vacancy taxes against properties that sit empty for portions of the year, precisely the usage pattern of many retirees who split their time between countries. However, it's important to remember that tax rates may vary by region. Check my link for this video in the comments to see which Spanish communities offer the most favorable terms. And now, time for me to tell you about the most dangerous of all these untold risks. The one that can literally make you lose your apartment. And by the way, if you're watching this video, you may be planning to move abroad to live better, save money, and cut taxes. I have written 3 top-rated books on living abroad. You can find them by scanning this QR code on your screen. The Okupas Crisis: How Squatters Can Legally Take Your Spanish Dream Home. As if the financial burden of these taxes wasn't terrifying enough, there is another nightmare scenario waiting to ambush foreign property owners in Spain. In 2022 alone, over 16,400 properties in Spain were illegally occupied by squatters, a 7.4% increase from the previous year. If you are an expat or retiree with a second home in Spain, your risk is exponentially higher, especially if your property sits empty for months at a time. The legal process to remove these squatters can take up to 2 years, cost thousands in legal fees, and leave your property damaged beyond recognition. This is not some rare occurrence. It's a growing crisis that is shocking foreign buyers across Spain. The Spanish call them Okupas, and these organized squatting networks have turned breaking into vacant properties into a quite sophisticated corporation. They specifically monitor homes for signs of vacancy and collected mail, overgrown gardens, but they also have sophisticated techniques like hanging small plastic stripes in the door. If the plastic stripe remains there for long, it means the house is empty. Among the autonomous communities, the Okupas are very active in Catalonia. Outside Catalonia, holiday homes on Costa del Sol and Costa Blanca are particularly vulnerable targets. What would you do if you returned from a 3-month visit home to find strangers, had moved to your Spanish villa, changed the locks, and were now legally protected as they lived in your property rent-free? What makes this situation truly terrifying is the legal framework protecting these intruders. Fighting Okupas in court is like trying to evict a seagull from your chips. It's loud, messy, and you're still out of pocket. In Spain, once squatters have occupied a property for more than 48 hours, they can't simply be removed by the police. Instead, owners must embark on a legal odyssey that typically takes between 12 and 24 months, and potentially even longer with appeals. During this entire period, you, as the rightful owner, cannot enter your own property, yet you are still responsible for all mortgage payments, taxes, and other expenses. The financial impact is devastating. Legal fees typically range from 3 to 15,000 euros, depending on the complexity of your case. Property damage is almost guaranteed, with repair costs often reaching 20 to 30,000 euros. Foreign owners who split their time between countries are particularly vulnerable. If you are only visiting your Spanish property seasonally, you are essentially hanging a target on your door. These organized squatting networks have sophisticated methods for identifying which properties sit empty for extended periods. And once they are in, the law largely protects them instead of you. Some new legislations are trying to solve this problem. The Express law, approved in December 2024, theoretically allows for expedited evictions within 15 days in certain cases. But the reality remains complicated. Many police departments still refuse to intervene without court orders, and squatters' rights continue to take precedence in many legal proceedings. Insurance companies have recognized this epidemic by creating specialized anti-Okupas policies, costing between 35 to 500 euros annually. These policies cover legal fees, temporary accommodation, and even damages caused by squatters. The very existence of such insurance speaks volumes about how common this problem has become. The emotional toll can be just as severe as the financial one. Many foreign retirees have invested their life savings into their Spanish dream home only to find themselves locked in exhausting legal battles with strangers occupying their property. Some eventually give up entirely, selling their homes at substantial losses just to escape the ongoing nightmare. To protect yourself, you need to implement multiple preventive measures. Installing comprehensive security systems with alarms and cameras is essential. Making your property appear continuously occupied by using light timers and arranging regular mail collection can help deter opportunistic squatters. For foreign owners, hiring local property management services is practically mandatory. These services can regularly inspect your property and respond immediately to any unauthorized entry attempts. The squatter crisis represents yet another layer of financial risk that many foreign buyers never anticipate when purchasing property in Spain. Combined with the tax burdens we've discussed, it creates a storm that can quickly transform your retirement delight into an unsustainable financial burden. So we have unpacked the financial minefield of Spanish property ownership, but here is a solution worth considering. Long-term renting offers the Spanish lifestyle without the ownership headaches. You will sidestep property taxes, maintenance costs, and squatter risks, while maintaining the flexibility to relocate if needed. If ownership remains your goal, and you would like to live in some of the healthiest places in the world with the most spectacular weather, perhaps look to Greece or Italy, where foreigners receive tax incentives rather than penalties. The tax incentives and breaks in these two spectacular countries are so great that I made a video comparing both. You can check it here at your left. In Italy and Greece, you might pay up to 80% less taxes than in Spain. And join my Patreon for all the sources, charts, and maps from our videos, plus a chat so I can answer your questions. Tier 2 includes my top 3 ebooks on living and retiring abroad. Scan the QR code today.